I got involved into a pyramid scheme.
So you learned finance through a pyramid scheme. So
Yeah. So I'm a mascot, full-time mascot. I dress up as a bee for a fruit company.
what is going on with Starbucks?
Oh.
What is going on? It's almost every day, mate.
I could definitely do better.
So I'm giving you an allowance of about 3 drinks a week.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? Welcome to Finance Action. My name is Romain, and together we'll dive into someone's personal finances, learning their stories, and take action towards a financial success. Please join me as we discover the story of Wyatt. Wyatt, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
Awesome. So let's look into your profile. Looking at the way you've ranked yourself for your personal finance perception from chilling to Mayday, you've rated yourself as I'm okay. Can you tell me more about that and kind of how do you feel about your financial situation today?
Yeah, so I feel pretty good because for the most part I'm in a good spot, but I'd say it hasn't always been like this, you know?
Okay.
And I'd say also in recent history, like in the past 6 months is where I'm now chilling. But I'd say for a while I was just okay. I didn't have many things built for me and I was kind of all over the place, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm in an okay spot now. I've got a few good things going for sure.
How did you learn about personal finances and how at a young age did you start engaging into, savings or just overall learning about how to navigate that?
Yeah, well, I'd say as a kid, I wasn't the best with money. I was okay. I wanted to say I was good. I tried to be like my grandpa, but I was a little more like my dad, where I would say I was a little impulsive.
Okay.
I learned mostly from failure. I got involved into a pyramid scheme. I tried to start a keto food truck.
Okay.
And so I learned a lot about business.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I learned about finance. So
you learned finance through a pyramid scheme. So just tell me a little bit more about this.
Yeah, so I was working as a sales manager at this trampoline park, and my friend who worked there, one of my coworkers, told me his brother had a business, and I don't think he fully understood either because he wasn't giving me much information. He was like, yeah, he's got these energy drinks and he sells them door to door. They were like unlabeled energy drinks. And so I thought it was an energy drink company, but it turns out that it's just a website that just sells all kinds of unlabeled products door to door.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was an opportunity. I went to this business meeting I had to go buy a suit. They were like, yeah, you got to come prepared. You got to buy a suit and like all this stuff. So I went and bought a suit, went to Starbucks and sat down with these people and just talked about mentorship for like 3 hours. Oof. It was crazy. Yeah, and that was their title. They were mentors. So their goal was for me to sell stuff for them, and then they made money based off my performance. So I went to this meeting, and they basically showed me a guideline of kind of what they were doing. And actually, you know what? It was like a 3-week process. I went to like at the apartments near my house. They had this. I don't know what it's called. It's like the leasing office,
Okay.
And that's where they were holding these meetings. And it was me and like 10 other dudes in suits just watching these people present to us about sales and business. And like,
Whoa.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. It was like that was before we started anything. And so they gave me like homework. They were like, go listen to Rich Dad, Poor Dad as an audiobook. And like, I didn't understand what I was doing, but basically they were like, just figure out business, learn a little bit about finance,
Wow.
And so I did all of that. But then once I found out I had to pay money, they were like, okay, you have to pay us $300 a month to do this.
Whoa. Okay.
So that's when I was like, okay, what's going on here?
Nice. Okay. As I'm sure many of our listeners and you've realized to have come to conclusion is for the most part, pyramid schemes are generally very beneficial to the people at the top, but for most of us or most of the individuals that participate in that type of business, they tend to be the one paying for the ones at the top.
Yeah.
So I generally very not encourage people to get involved in those because, again, there is a very slim possibility that you make any money and not you're wasting your time, which is your biggest asset.
Right.
And also, you are... you can put yourself into a bad financial spot just because of the amount of money that you have to invest in that. So at least I'm glad on that front. For the most part, you got the learning and you didn't have to spend much money. And, you got maybe involved into how to dress up and just show yourself professionally in a setting. So
absolutely, yeah. I feel like that's a good point because I feel like I learned how to talk professionally doing that because I went to all these meetings and I had to be outgoing and, like, I wasn't always like that at the time,
Okay.
So I had to express myself a lot more. And so I'd say, overall, like, that was a positive experience for me because I learned a lot. So, definitely avoided something there.
Yeah, well,
but I'm glad it
you
happened.
did.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So now let's dive a little bit, Wyatt, into your finances. So let's start first with income, and it's coming from an atypical income source, to say the least. So tell me more about your income streams.
So I'm a mascot, full-time mascot. So I dress up as a bee for a fruit company. And it's basically a marketing campaign to promote this new variety of apples that we're selling.
Okay.
And so that's kind of my main job right now. I fly around the country and get to dance in front of people, and that's awesome. It's the best job I've ever had. Yeah.
So right now, for our listeners, we'll show you a video of Wyatt dancing as a bee, so you can contextualize. How much does that provide you?
Yeah, so it pays about $75 an hour.
Whoa.
So, pretty good. And, I mean, all the travel is covered, of course, and I get a per diem, so I can go on these trips and be positive income-wise. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So 75 an hour, is that by the amount of hours that you are a bee, or is that, let's say, for the day, they have, you working for them for 8 hours, and then you're maybe a bee for 2, or is that just...
So minimum, they pay you $450 no matter what, which is a 6-hour workday for $75 an hour. Okay. So even if you work 30 minutes, they'll pay you the $450. So,
oh, wow.
So, So that's just time in the suit. You get $450 for being in the suit that day, but anything after 6 hours, of course, is at $75 an hour, so it can always be more. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
And that's generally like, do you fly during the weekends? I mean, you can only be a bee for so long.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, luckily, because I also do video editing on the side, I don't really have a schedule for myself, so I kind of am able to do this, like, sporadically. So weekends and weekday. It doesn't really affect my day-to-day, luckily. So, yeah. Okay,
cool. So I want to dive into then your second stream of income, which you mentioned is video editing. So tell me more on that story.
I actually used to be a sponsored skateboarder, and I used to film videos for my local skate shop and a few other clothing companies through, like, Instagram and stuff. And so I kind of had a background in creating videos and editing them just for fun, sort of. But then me and my friend had this idea about editing these Pokemon videos, and so we started a YouTube channel together. We make Pokemon YouTube videos.
Yeah, and you guys have, like, a pretty substantial subscriber count, right?
Yeah. We kind of had this idea to go this certain route with one video, and we're like, if this does well, we can keep doing this, we can sustain it, and it worked. And we kind of just looked at the data and tried to replicate that, and now we kind of built something that's sustainable. So
how many subscribers does the YouTube channel have?
About 150,000.
Okay, all right, sweet. And actually, if you're okay with that, we'll put it in the description of the video for people to check it out.
Love that, yeah.
And how much does that generate? Let's say per video, right? How much would you say sponsorship pays you guys?
Sponsorships pay anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 per video.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. And you take about a 30% cut on that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, but how often do you release videos?
So right now we're kind of at like 2 a month. It's just me and one other person. So and they take a lot of time. So we could be generating more income if we had the ability to produce more. But we're kind of at a low production rate right now. So
okay, I mean, for the two of you guys, 150,000. That's definitely something we are hoping for in this YouTube adventure with us. So if you're not a subscriber, please feel to subscribe to our channel as well. Okay, so let's kind of tie up all of that. Looking at full year, how much would you say you make?
I'd say 70,000 a year.
70,000? Okay. Yeah. So 70,000 a year, and of course, you have to account for taxes and so on. So that gives you to about 4,000 net per month. Does that seem right?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Okay. So let's look at how do you compare against your age category, right? At 21 years old, Wyatt, the median, so meaning the 50% below that amount, 50% of the population makes below that amount and 50% makes higher. And the median in the US is, for your age, $36,500. So you almost double that. Good job, mate. $70,000 as an entrepreneur at 21. That's a pretty good success story right here. Are you expecting any future type of income or future career expansion?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I want to be an actor. That's also what I'm doing on the side. I have an agency up in Seattle, and so I do like local commercials and some film work. Mostly I've just done like extra work, and then some short films around the area. I've been trying to build my craft as an actor. So kind of as an end goal for myself in an ideal world, I want to be a full-time actor and make all my money that way, or most of my money that way at least. So mascotting on the side right now turns out to make a lot of money.
Yeah,
and it's really fun. So
cool. So let's look at your assets. I want to kind of look at your net worth at 21 years old. So looking at some of your checking accounts here, I see that your ending balance on this one is about $2,000. Okay. And then you also have a saving account that has a $12,000 balance. So, this is a pretty good stack of money here at a young age, and we'll discuss later about the best strategies to leverage that money, but also making sure we keep with your objective to potentially relocate for your acting career. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's move on to identifying some of your needs. So as always, at home, if you guys are interested in following us and following kind of the strategy we have around personal finances, we divide your finances into your needs, your want, and a third category that I call gold. Let's look at your needs. So needs here, let's start first with rent. So you pay, how much you pay for it?
About $1,100.
$1,100?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good. You live, you have your own apartment, or what's the situation here?
In Olympia, me and my friend. Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
So looking at your percentage for your housing against your income, you're at 27%. We like to see it be less than 28%. So, hey, good job on that front. That means you hit the mark. So, right job. Yeah. Cool. Let's look at transportation costs. So, do you have any car debt?
Car debt? No, I don't.
Okay. Yeah. So do you have a car?
Yeah, and I pay insurance on that and gas, of course. But yeah.
What car do you drive?
So I have a BMW X5. It's 2001.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
X5, nice. How many miles?
It's at about 80,000, I think.
Oh, okay, that's good for
pretty good.
For 2001,
right?
Yeah, it's been 90 years. Okay,
right.
And do you think you made a good deal on that purchase?
I think it was okay. I think looking back on it, it probably wasn't the best deal, but it was my first car actually, and so.
And you paid cash for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's great.
It was about 6,000. So yeah.
I mean, looking here into the Kelly Blue Book for it, it's currently rated at around 3,000. So
yeah.
How long ago did you buy it again?
About a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean.
Yeah.
It's may not be the greatest deal at the time. Probably, a year and a half ago, you were at peak for used car prices. It has come down since.
Yeah.
You bought it at a dealership?
No, I got it. I found a deal on Facebook, so it was a private dealer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Do you have any other assets? Any investment accounts? Any other, maybe real estate that you own or anything?
I don't. I really am trying to work towards that right now. All I have is my savings, sort of. So savings in the car are kind of my only assets at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So that brings your total assets to $17,000. Hey.
Okay.
$17,000 at 21 years old. it's a pretty good amount, especially for you building it by yourself, mate. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, thanks.
All right, let's look at some of the tougher components.
Yeah.
Your expenses.
Okay.
So here, as I was going through your accounts and looking at your expenses, I see, Grocery Outlet, which is a local supermarkets here. It seems that you don't spend that much money on restaurants. That's right. You make your own groceries, so kudos to you on that front. And then you have, of course, like your phone bill, your insurance for your car. Yep. But those numbers do not see too much out of ordinary as what we see. The big question that I have for you, though, is what is going on with Starbucks? I see expenses like $10, $11, $29. What is going on? It's almost every day, mate.
That's where most of my money goes towards. I need the energy. I can't get through my day without it.
Okay. Well, you're pretty well balanced for the rest of your expenses, but actually, I'm gonna do a sign line here on the show and kind of change a little bit the red line that we generally like to follow, because in terms of debt, you do not seem to have any other debt, right?
I don't, yeah.
You don't have any debt.
Yeah.
So other than kind of those expenses around Starbucks, for the most part, you are fairly frugal with your money.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you know what? Now that I know enough about your financial situation, it is time for the money case. Let's go. Welcome back. This is the moment everybody's waiting for. Without further ado, let's rock and roll. So Wyatt, my friend, you spend about, from what I've been calculating, $10 a day.
Yeah.
On coffee.
Yeah, I get 2 of those big expensive ones.
Okay, so just so you know, how do people build financial wealth? Yes, sometimes it's with real moves, like big moves, that people make. But for the most part, financial wealth is built through habits. Okay, habits makes the greatest difference, and I want to show you and for you to visualize it. What does that mean? Okay, so looking at your spending on coffee, okay, if you were to instead of using $10 a day for coffee, do your coffee at home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we look at 5 years. Okay. The amount of money that you would have saved on your account, assuming you're investing into the S&P 500, okay, would be. Are you ready for this?
I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
20,500.
Wow, 20,000 in what? 5 years?
5 years. 5 years.
An additional.
And it's just the behavior of having coffee. Instead of doing it at Starbucks, you do it at home.
Yeah.
And it's just a little thing. But I want to show you the power of compound interest. Because as I repeat again, and if you've seen my other videos, your biggest strength today, Wyatt, is your age. Okay, your age is your biggest strength, because you have time to put money aside and invest it over time and benefit from compound interest.
True.
Compound interest meaning that using the historical performance for S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in the US, if you invest $1,000 today, in 1 year, it will be worth 1,100. It's about a 10% return. Okay. Using historicals. So here I'm looking at 5 years. Okay. Let's now look at how much does that mean in 10 years. Okay. So in 10 years, Wyatt, you would have saved $57,000.
Wow.
This is in 10 years. Okay. This is a down payment on a house. This is a new car. This is really what makes the difference. Now, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
20 years. Look at the power of compound interest.
Oh, no.
It's not 100K.
Oh, my God.
It's not 200K. It's $212,000.
Holy what, 20 years?
20 years.
Dang.
Just your little coffee, because you need the energy, is worth $212,000.
That's crazy.
By the time you're 40 years old.
Yeah.
Think about your kids. think about, potentially if you want to have kids, think about what you can do with that money just being invested. And
So
this
true.
is just the small behavior of $10 a day.
You're right.
$10 a day provides to this. Now, I don't have enough money to show you the rest, but look at the power. 30 years, at 50 years old,
Yeah.
$600,000.
Oh my gosh.
By the time you retire, are you ready for this?
Probably $1 million, just about.
$1.6 million.
Damn.
$1.6 million
That's actually crazy.
is what coffee is gonna cost you. You know, the little sip of energy that you want to do. And so I understand that, you know, all this is pretty much spread apart in your coffee. That's, you know, hold on, I don't have enough space in my trash now to put all of this, but it's literally being thrown to the trash. I want to tell you that little behavior makes a huge change.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be extreme and tell you, okay, stop 100% coffee. That's not the way to work, you know. But I want you to be mindful of it, and maybe on one day, I mean, we have a segment in our show that's going to come soon that's called Moneyless Monday. Okay? And Moneyless Monday is a new program that we are standing up that wants to incentivize people or challenge them to not spend money on Monday. Why? Because, you know, we have Meatless Monday. My partner is vegan, for example. And so we've been participating in some of that. I've been trying to, at least.
Nice.
But Moneyless Monday kind of follows the same thing. And it makes you conscious of your spending habits, you know? And it's kind of a challenge. And you will see just little things like this make a significant impact. So instead of going every day to Starbucks, give yourself 3 days, you know, a week.
True.
And then the rest, you're like, oh, you know, let me put it aside and let's see in 1 year how much that is.
Yeah.
You know, in 1 year, that's potentially a new car for you, a down payment on a new car for you when you move away. You see what I mean? So little habits. Now, for the rest of your recommendations, for the most part, you're good. And so without further ado, let's move on to the recommendation aspect.
All right.
And we are back with Wyatt here, looking at the recommendation and the best course of actions based on the cars that you have.
Yeah.
So the way we follow the methodology here is looking at your needs again. And so for your needs, this is #survival. This is what you need to survive no matter what. And on your case, we are including rent, your gas, your insurance, some of the food component, entertainment, very lightly on that front. But overall, right now, you are at 43% of your income, which is actually pretty good, mate.
Okay.
We like to see it below 50%, so kudos to you on that front.
Nice. Cool. Thanks.
Looking at your wants. So for your wants, here as we distilled your expenses and kind of gone over all your expenses, a lot of which goes towards Starbucks, as we mentioned. And so I'm giving you an allowance of about 3 drinks a week.
Okay.
Or about $30 a week. And that's going to allow you to be more mindful of your spend on that aspect.
Okay.
But I don't want to go 100 to 0 because for the rest, you're very frugal. So it's okay to live. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, truly, I want you to still feel that, yes, you're making slight efforts towards your future because also your income is not super safe, right? You're mostly freelance. So you want to make sure that you put yourself in a good spot. So I don't want you to overspend on that wants category. Right. Generally, we like to see it below 20%. On your case, you are at around 18%. So it's not too bad. I've also included some of your expenses around additional activities and hobbies. And so the remaining category is what I call gold, okay? And gold is going to be the amount of money that you either want to save to pay debt or you want to invest.
Yeah.
And in your case, I think that first we need to make sure that we save it and then we invest it the right way for your future. You want to go to LA to start a career in acting, okay?
Yeah.
You would drive there. Now, it is true that when we looked at the car's performance at 12 miles per gallon on a, 20 years old car, I may not recommend this as the most efficient way to get there.
Right.
So my recommendation to you is, number one, I would always make sure, and you have put together already an emergency fund of $12,000 on your saving accounts. The emergency fund for your listeners looks at your needs. And so for you, 1,800, but let's round it up to 2,000, right?
Okay.
Always take a little bit more. It's always better to have a miscellaneous cushion.
Yeah.
Multiply by either 3 months or 6 months. 3 months at minimum, 6 months is the most optimal. So for you, your emergency fund of 12,000 match perfectly with what you need based on your needs. However, you have a little bit of legway here, and I want to make sure we best use your assets.
Yeah.
So you have two routes. The first route is, I would personally maybe consider selling your car. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe some of you are going to criticize me for saying that, but generally, all luxury type engines tend to have maybe a little bit more issues than the rest. On paper, it's normal. It's an old car.
I have faced a few issues.
You faced a few issues.
Yes.
Okay. so personally, I would think towards potentially reselling this car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're gonna get about 3,000 of it.
Yeah.
And use 2 months of savings.
Okay.
So you save about 1,500 a month. Save 2 months of savings. So in 2 months, I want you to sell your car, and you buy yourself a used car, energy efficient, that has generally good reliability. So those are going to be models like Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi. I mean, one that comes to my mind could be, and no sponsorship or any of that front, but maybe a Mitsubishi Mirage that has you can buy one used that's very reliable for like $6,000 or so. A 3, 4, 5 years old model, and it has 40 miles per gallon on average.
40? Wow.
Yeah, and it's not an hybrid, and it's a good
that's
deal.
What I should have done.
Yeah, but it's okay. You've learned through that. So that keeps your emergency fund in a good spot. I don't want you to tap into it yet because it's very good to have. And this is the money that you should never touch. Never touch.
Yeah.
And what I recommend you to do as well is an emergency fund, if you want to beat inflation, to invest it into a high yield saving account.
Yeah.
So what it is it's a saving account that acts similar to cash. It's money that you need instantly to take out if you need to. That's what is an emergency fund. But it invested at about a 4% return on very safe investments. Okay. Inflation is about 6 to 7%. So right now, if you just leave your money spending on your account, it's losing money. It's losing its value every year.
Wow, it's just sitting there and not moving.
And that's not moving. It's correct. You're losing about 7% of your money, of the value of your money every year. That's inflation.
Crazy. Wow.
That's right. So what you want to do is look into accounts, and we'll make recommendations on that front, but you can look online. That generally provides around a 4% return. Why 4%? Because right now we are in a high interest period.
Yeah.
And so generally companies tend to offer those types of services. Okay?
Yeah.
So this way you beat a little bit inflation and you still keep that money safe at all time. You don't touch it. So I want you to sell your car, get a cheap, reliable car, $6,000. Okay? But I want it to be reliable. I don't want you to go for something luxury on that front. That gives you good miles per gallon. And then I want you for the next 6 months after that to save. You have a goal of saving $1,500. Okay. So by the time you leave in January, you have a good car. You have $9,000 worth to live in Los Angeles, to give yourself a shot, at least to live for 3 months. Let's say the cost of living in Los Angeles can be higher. So it's always better. 3 to 6 months. Yep. And you always have, no matter what, your emergency fund that you never touch.
True. Yeah.
And you just give yourself a shot. You give yourself a shot at it. What do you think about this?
I think that's a really good plan. My plan was for it to be 10,000, and that's right at it at 9,000. That was kind of my goal in the next 7 months. I was like, can I get $10,000 more in that time that I can put towards LA? So yeah, I mean, I think that's a great goal. Yeah.
Okay. What about the Starbucks behavior? Do you feel like you're gonna switch a little bit on this?
I think I'll probably try to start making coffee from home a few days a week. Maybe I'll make Starbucks more of a treat for myself, I guess.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the way.
Make it more valuable. Yeah.
Exactly. Make it more valuable. Make it like a reward.
I like that. Reward rather than like an impulsive buy,
Make it a reward. Make it a reward. And it's going to also keep you accountable for some of your actions.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yeah, me too.
And then also, think about the Moneyless Monday. Think about it. It gives you, again, that consciousness. Okay, if I have to pay something, well, I will pay it on Sunday. And then on Monday, I don't spend a dime. Except if, of course, it's like automatic payments. But even on your cards, make the payment the day before so you see at least the money that you're spending. Yeah. It's just about visualizing. People, now everything is on computer. If you have the cash like I showed you, you never spend every day 10 hours like this if you see it. But now that you see it, it's a shift of mindset.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love that. And I think no matter what, you can always improve where you're at financially. I think it's just important to take action and notice those things, like you said. So I really like that because now it's just got me thinking like, okay, I could definitely do better, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But let me tell you, for 21 years old, Wyatt, I think you have an excellent profile. Honestly, I was not like you at 21 years old. No. You are mindful with your spend. You have a good understanding of what's going on. You were able to dodge that pyramid scheme, which, you know, again, that's tricky.
Yeah.
You're making $70,000 as a freelance. I mean, come on, dude. That's
Can't complain.
you are putting yourself in a good spot to succeed. So I'm glad to see that.
Thanks. Yeah. See, it wasn't always like that though. Like in the past, like 2 years, I was in a way tougher spot, and I kind of wanted to be where I am now. So I'm definitely grateful to be where I am. So yeah.
All right, Wyatt. So to summarize, thank you very much for coming on the show. I truly
Absolutely.
believe that you're going to have a great future, and at least you've positioned yourself well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for following us as we discovered the journey of Wyatt. We hope you catch us on the next episode. And as always, in Fairness Action, we and you take action. Take care. See you guys.